Well, hello everybody. Glad to be here for another exciting season in the MIAA, and we're certainly feel good about our team. Seen a lot of progress with the guys and good leadership the last 9 months or so, and pretty focused group, and we got a lot of guys back, so we're excited about that. Last year was an interesting season for us from the standpoint that we got back into the playoffs, which we were excited about, but at the same time we had kind of a rocky road to get there, and so I was really proud of how our players kind of fought through some obstacles, and really after Game 5 kind of had their backs against the wall in terms of getting a postseason opportunity, and end up winning 6 games in a row and getting our program back in the playoffs. And so we had a pretty young group. Actually had a small senior class last year, and in the process of the season sustained a lot of injuries. We had around 15 surgeries last year, which was we just kind of got besieged by it. And so the upside is that some of those guys that were injured throughout the course of the year are also back. So we have players at almost every position this year that have starting experience. But we've also sustained a couple of injuries from kids during the spring that will prevent them, returning stars that will prevent them from playing. But going through what we went through last year, and in terms of where the program is, we feel good about that. Saw a lot of progress with our players in the off season and during spring football, and from what I understand, really done a good job over the summer too. We certainly have a lot more players here that were training over the summer with our strength staff, and so those are good things, and just really grateful and excited to be here for another season and coach the guys that I get to coach. We got some exciting things going on still with our facilities, which have been upgraded the last few years, and really helps in the recruiting process. And of course, everybody knows all the nice venues in the MIAA, so you definitely have to keep up in terms of what the kids have to play with, and train in and so forth. So getting a new field, they're just finishing up a new field for us, and really looks good, and so it's all good. Just looking forward to working with these guys. There's some spots we got to fill. Of course, the big one is at quarterback, which will be everybody's question, I'm sure. Garrett Fugate was a great player. And then we're also looking for a kicker. The last spring we lost Derek Pooney and Tevin Teemer, probably two of our best players, for medical reasons. And so even though we got a lot of guys back, we've also sustained a couple of things that we'll have to overcome. But we've built some depth because of our injuries. That's the upside. Last year we built some depth, and so some of our key players that we have, just looking at position-wise, we got a lot of linebackers back that have starting experience. Kind of starts with Austin Miller. He's one of those guys I talked about that got hurt. Alex Lackey, John Embry was a true freshman that ended up playing. He's an awful good player for us. Colson Crane, Dylan Albertson. These are all kids that started games. Mark Cushing, Mike Tannehill. So linebacker core. One of the other things last year that was a challenge for us too is that we switched coordinators and brought in Wes Bell and went from a 4-3 to a 3-4. So him coming in at the late, basically when fall camp started, was also a challenge for us. And then personnel-wise was a challenge to get that all to fit together. So I think we're way ahead of the game relative to where we were defensively certainly a year ago, and these kids did a lot of stuff on their own in the summertime in terms of installs and those kinds of things, and sort of coached themselves up, and so we really feel like we're far ahead in that aspect. But Defensive line-wise, starting with Connor here, Flagel. Wyatt Hendricks was a returning starter for us. Trifinu Taylor and Ubong Udom. He's a kid that was played as a true freshman. Again, was thrown in there because of injuries last year. So we got some good starting experience. There's a kid named Jeff Holsinger that's a transfer that came in the spring that's really shown, a kid from California, that's really shown some good signs for us as well. In the secondary, three of our main guys, Montez Lattimore, Jackson Newman, and De'Aaron Rhodes are back there. I think all those kids have had some sort of all-conference recognition. We've got some young kids coming up, Cody Bell, Justin Bierman, Josh Terry are some guys that are we feel really good about, had good springs for us. Our punter's back, Logan Offner. Our long snapper is back, Garrett Klein. Those are two really fine players at their position. Offensively, as I mentioned, our main objective or main challenge will be replacing Garrett Fugate, but Brooke Bowles is the guy right now. He had a great spring for us and has really progressed well. Got in some games last year, so he's got some game time experience. He's not completely green, but as we know, it's a whole different deal when you're the guy. But behind him, Kyle Bradley and Austin Strelko, who is a transfer. Kyle Bradley's a redshirt freshman this year. Those kids have a lot of ability for us too. So offensive line-wise, I mentioned our best player won't be with us, Derek Pooney, because of a medical situation in the spring, but we have Chris Gomez and Jake Heckler and Kane Barker and Nick Warren all have starting experience back on the offensive line. Feel good about those guys. Kane and Chris Gomez are probably the leaders among that group right there as far as leadership and experience. Tight end wise, we got a number of guys that have starting experience there as well. Seth Abear's second team all conference kid. Justice McMullen is a very good player at that position. Has starting experience at wide receiver and tight end. Tyler Nugent is another kid that has started for us. Running back wise, it was definitely by committee last year. We had probably more injuries at that position than any position I've ever been a part of as a coach, but some of those kids are back. Xavier Washburn was our main player there, and he got hurt, I think, in game 4 last year. But Kadeem McIntosh, Steve Ford are kids that played for us last year at that position. And then we have a young man named Colby Wilkerson, who's a local kid from Warrensburg that we're really excited about. And finally at receiver, led by Jalen Zachary here, who's special teams player of the year last year, first team all conference. Wide receiver, Kyle Eccles has starting experience. Wes Thomas, Javante Sigler. We have a couple of young guys we got a transfer that we're pretty high on named Kirian Parker. And Franklin Hunt and Shea Wyatt are two young guys that that we're excited about. So that's kind of the breakdown, complexion of our team, and I guess we can take some questions.
All right, we'll just have time for questions for players. If you want Coach, he'll be available out in the section. I'll start things off. Jalen and then Connor, talk a little bit about getting experience in the playoffs and maybe what you learned going into this season.
The playoffs was a good experience for us. We've never been before. It was a tough opponent. It was just a good experience. I enjoyed it, and I hope to get there next year.
I would say the same. It was nice. We got a little taste. We haven't been there in quite a while, so we're going to be back this year.
All right, Jalen, Special Teams Player of the Year. I know you'd like to say that a kick return is just your speed, and that's why you're able to take it back. But realistically, what has to happen for you to take a kick back?
I definitely have to get a lot of blocks, to get a block or two to get there, to definitely to spring it. Just one cut and go, that's all I really think about, and just following my blocks and trusting my teammates and just meeting them in the end zone.
Connor, defensively, year 1 to year 2 under defensive coordinator Wes Bell, talk about how that's transitioned for you.
Well, last year we were still trying to find out where people need to play. It was a tough transition because it's just a different feel. We didn't really understand all the responsibilities until about week 6 last year. So we're way ahead of where we were last year, obviously. And, you know, we've been working all summer, so it'll be a big difference from last year.
Quick question for Coach Boda. Not supposed to do this, but you guys playing at Arrowhead again this year against Northwest. That says a lot for the MIAA, for the Bearcats, for the Mules. It's a great venue. It's a lot of fun.
It is, and we're excited to be able to do it again. We're glad it worked out, and glad that they're cooperative. And of course, you know, that's in a recruit. It's hard to measure, you know, what it means, because it's certainly something that kids are excited to hear in the recruiting process, and of course with the amount of alumni we have from both schools in the local area. It's exciting for everybody, so we're happy to be able to do it again.
All right, we'll go here next, and then we'll come back to you.
Jalen, Randy Spear with the Warrensburg Daily Star Journal. Is there a difference between the ball Garrett threw and what Brooks is throwing up right now?
It's not much of a difference. Fugate was more of like a line drive thrower. With Bowes, he likes to kind of loft the ball up a little more, make me go get it, run under it. There's not much of a big difference, but you know, they're pretty similar.
With your speed, is that lofty, go up and get it, run under it? Does that fit you a little bit more?
It's something that I adapted to, you know, going into the spring and then working with them over the summer. You know, we've just been working a lot over the summer, and it's been really helpful, you know.
And then Connor, bringing back 10 guys, is the chemistry in that locker room on the defensive side better than last year, or have you seen a marked improvement in it?
I think it is better than last year. You know, you just be around guys more and more, you get closer and closer. I think you'll be able to see that on the field.
And then for either player, with the new turf, have you gotten a chance to see it? And what was kind of your initial thoughts on when you saw the new turf down?
I liked it, especially the bigger mule head. You know, the black end zone is pretty cool. I can't wait to play on it.
Yeah, it's pretty sharp, and you know, it's a way better surface than we've had previously, so it's going to be nice to play on.
Could each of you as players describe the anticipation of playing at Arrowhead Stadium?
I can't wait. You know, playing in a stage that big, you know, against the #1 opponent in the nation. I can't wait. It's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, it's an honor to play there, but right now we're focused on week 1.
All right, we got time for one more question.
Jalen, what have you seen from kind of Brooks' development this offseason? How has he kind of embraced that starting quarterback role?
He's really been working at it. You can tell he really wants it. He's really been working at becoming a leader, you know, to his teammates, and we're following him, and we have faith in him.